Ever since I met Chetna about 6 years ago, maybe, is it? I started feeling really badly about my life and what I have done with it. It's extremely depressing to be in Chetna's orbit because in the time that you do, you think a couple of cool things. She's done like 50 million cool things. And in fact, for our pre-call, we have these pre-calls for every panel. I had to tell her, now, Chetna, we're only going to talk about like 10 of the 50 million things that you're doing with Mann Deshi on this panel because there's so much else that has not anything to do with women and banking. And we're really going to focus on women in banking and financial inclusion. But there is a lot of other stuff that they're doing as well, I just want to say. Also, she always looks better than you do, no matter where you are and in what situation you're in. She's always like out dressing you and out gorgeousing you. So I did put this on just to make it a little bit more even. So who here has heard of Mann Deshi? Has some familiarity with Mann Deshi in the past? Okay. Yeah, all right then. See, you if you don't know Mann Deshi, you don't even know what you're talking about over there. Chetna, why don't you tell us a little bit about what motivated you to start Mann Deshi, a little bit of your personal story, and then tell us about the beginning, the origin story and the beginning of it, if you wouldn't mind. Yeah, we need a, here.
Thanks, Deshi. And I would say, you should visit Mann Deshi, and then you will not feel that, you know about your life. And also I'm really thankful to Anil and actually for getting me here. And Algorand, of course. See, Stacey, I never thought that I'll set up a bank. That is one thing, And born and raised in Mumbai, was active in Gandhian organization, working with very humble Gandhian leaders. And they came to university campus and they said that we want young students to work in countryside of India, in the villages of India. I was in first year of my undergraduate program, university. And I was very fascinated about going to the villages and working. And so I said, I want to do that. And I started traveling. So at the age of 21, I must have traveled across India in the villages, where I met my husband, farmer, Mr. Sinha, fell madly in love with him, married him. After my post-graduation and 1 year of lecturership, I decided that I am done with Mumbai, left Mumbai. Left Bombay, went to a small village in Maswat. My family was devastated, but I was sure that I don't want to continue in Bombay. And I met some incredible women. These are ordinary women who did extraordinary things in their lives. They are gurus of me, and so I'll just share the origin of Mann Deshi story. So this woman, Kantabai, you can see she's doing business on the road, doing a business of blacksmith. She said, I wanted to save, I want to do savings. So I said, go to the banks. Why? Because if you want to do savings, go to the banks. Banks, she went to the banks and banks denied opening her account. You know why? Because they said your savings are too small, 5 rupees a day, not even half cent a day. And so bank said, you're not an affordable client for us. So then we went to multiple banks and then we decided, why not start a bank for women like them, Kantabai, Parvati, those are street vendors. All my friends, Deshi, who were doing MBA in finance and all, they were telling me, are you crazy that you want to set up the bank? I said, I don't know. But I know that these women are really smart. And they are doing whole day work of stone breakers. You can show those women, Stacey. And they want the banking license. When we went to the central bank, Our central bank denied the license, saying that these women are non-literate. We cannot issue a license to the bank whose promoting members are non-literate. That was the statement by Central Bank of India. So I came back. I was so devastated. I was nervous. I was weeping in the bus when I went from Bombay to Maswat. I told our women that we would not be able to get the license. You know what our women said? They said, we cannot read and write, but we can count. I was like, of course. And they said that we will learn to read and write again. I mean, we never been to the school because schools were not there when we were growing. We are not responsible for non-literacy. So they said, we will learn to read and write from today. And our literacy classes started with these women. After 5 months, we applied again. I didn't go alone to the Central Bank of India. All these women came with me to talk to Central Bank of India's director. And you know what they said, Stacy?
What did he say?
They said that we cannot read and write, we can count. And they challenged the officer, ask us to calculate the interest of any principal amount. If we fail, don't issue the license. But tell your officers to do it without calculator and see who can calculate faster. Needless to say, we got the banking license.
You got the banking license. We can't read and write, but we can count. I mean, this is the best line ever. And so, okay, so about what year was that?
This was in 1997.
So you got your banking license in 1997. Okay, so you started out as a savings institution. Okay, so then how long did you go as just a savings institution? And then how did you start thinking about, was it demand driven? Were the women coming to you? Were you having how did you make that move from savings to credit?
So actually, again I would like to share that the way women said that we cannot read and write, we can count and we can do it. And the learning for me was that I always underestimate these women. And so same with, it happened that we started a bank and we were thinking like hundreds and hundreds of women will be coming in the bank. And we saw that women were not coming. And we said, why? I went to women and I asked, like, you were so excited, why are you not coming? So they said, if we come to the bank, we lose our working day. And if we lose our working day, we will not have a dinner at a night. We won't have money. So we cannot come to the bank. So then we decided, why not bank goes to them? And we started a doorstep banking for savings also. And they were savings, and they said we want to do daily savings. There are some pictures, you can show them, that I want to do daily savings, and women would come and do that. And this is with no outside support. Women capital, women credit, women investment, community capital, and women credit.
So how did the doorstep banking work exactly? Did you have to hire people? Did they go by vehicle? How did that work exactly?
So, it's very interesting. They know they are sitting doing business on the street, but from 9 to 5, they would say that after 3 p.m., you send the agents, banking agents to our doorstep, and we will save. And we don't want to take money at home. We want to keep it in our account. So you can show that our banking agent go to the doorstep at where they are doing the business. They go there, they save, they have electronic passbook. You know why? Because they are very clear. What they say is, we are not just asking for access to finance, it is control on finance. We will decide where to spend. And so they have this digital wallet and now, of course, ATM. But that's how, and these solutions we are talking now, but these were designed long back. And our smart passbook, Stacy, in India at that time ATMs were not there, but our women were having smart passbook with the chip. And Sharma Saab, we got a special permission from Reserve Bank of India that हमारी पासबुक में हमारी महिलाएं चिप चाहती हैं क्योंकि they don't want to disclose, right? And they used it. And when they used it, Stacey, all this, you know what I learned from women? As you mentioned, cannot read and write but count. My another learning was never give poor solutions to poor people. They are smart, right?
Okay, so then how did you get to a solution from this? So I had kind of skipped a step. You had the bank set up, and then you listened to your customers, and they said, your solution is not working for us. You need to deliver a different solution to us. So you delivered daily savings and curbside savings. And so then how did you start the move to credit?
So when you give an access to credit or you talk about credit to women in banking sector, everyone will say that, okay, bankers will say, we'll give you credit. What about the repayment, right? That is the whole thing. You do not have collateral. And if you do not have collateral and if you fail to repay, how do we recover your money? So our women said that we don't have collateral, but we will be guaranteeing each other. So then group credit was started, where group will take the guarantee, which all of us knows that model, right? And where these street vendors will form the group and they would self-help groups, SHG groups, joint liability group, where group guarantee takes place and women will take the credit and repayment. And all these women who took the credit repaid it, not only with Mann, Deshi, Stacey, but in the whole, I would say that these are financial engineers of microcredit, which is in India today more than $50 billion industry. And they have proved that we can repay. We can take a loan, we will not default, we take a group guarantee, and we can repay the loan.
Okay, so a couple of questions with that. First of all, what was the average loan size, and what was the average term of the loan? How big were the groups? How were the groups constituted?
So number one, the loan size is around from $100 to say $500. That is the average loan size. The repayment is also, when we talk about the repayment, we talk about the EMIs. But here our women said that no, our cash flows are not monthly. We are not salary earner people. So we want daily EMIs and weekly EMIs. So we had to design those products in a credit system, in a software, in such a way that those repayment, you can do it. And our agents would go to the doorstep to collect. And now they do digital repayment, as you see in the picture, that they will repay daily digitally. And with that, I would also, it just reminds me when I look at you, Mr. Sharma Sahib, I would just say that our women, how could they do everything? Because they had Aadhaar, right? That was the biggest thing about their identity we had in the first session also, that these women never had a photo of themselves, but this is ID and biometric. And you know what? When they had a biometric in their saving account, and when they were using the digital account by using the biometric, they said that, you guys talk of PIN number. So we said, yeah, it is very important. They said, we don't want PIN number. We said that it is very important to lock your account. They said, yeah, but find something else. And we said, okay. Then they themselves said, what about Angutha? And we said, that is great. And when our women used that biometric, you know what they said? They said, and I'll speak in two languages. First, Hindi. कि मेरा पिन नंबर तो कोई भी चुरा के ले सकता है, लेकिन मेरा अंगूठा तो कोई नहीं चुरा के लेगा, right? My PIN number anybody can steal, but nobody can steal my thumb. And I hope we have to be very cautious about cyber safety, cyber security, that nobody can steal our thumb, otherwise you can mess it up. So yeah, this is how I learned this whole credit system of EMI, EWI, EDI, daily repayment, all from our women, Stacey.
Yes, don't, this is the lesson of this chat. Do not underestimate women and don't offer poor solutions to poor people either. Okay, so were the groups formed and what was the delinquency rate over how many years? I mean, you didn't have zero delinquencies, I'm sure. Some people didn't repay, is it? Or everybody repaid?
So repayment or default rate was never a bothering thing in case of Mandeshi because repayment was like always above 97-98%. But I do not want to be very proud of it. And I'll tell you why. Because when there's a first generation borrowing happening, these lives of the people is so fragile. Anything can happen, right? Disaster, floods, rain, and then how they do default. And I'll share with you very briefly. One lady came, she defaulted the loan. And she came to our bank and she told our manager that my husband has run away because he has taken multiple loans, but I cannot run away. My children are going to schools, but I won't be able to repay the loan in time. And our manager was very nervous. Your account is NPA. You have to repay. And I told our manager, wait. She's coming herself to tell you that I am defaulting and this is the reason. So at that time, I learned from that woman that debt counseling is so very important. Why don't we learn how to do debt counseling with these women so that when they get credit, it's financial literacy, yes, but understand then that their situation, design debt counseling so that they will be able to build their trajectory of the repayment, right? They also want the history of repayment, not the history of non-paying. So that's how, and then she said that if I have a history of repayment, I will graduate from small loan to big loan.
That's very interesting. So, and I think that's a good segue to where you are now, this idea of you have group-based credit enhancement because the women still don't have collateral-based credit possible, maybe more and more a bit, but you're very much relying on a group-based, a peer-based collateral enhancement. And tell me, what are your aspirations for the women to move beyond the group-based creditworthiness to an individual creditworthiness? Tell me about your thinking there.
So, many women would come to us and they would say that we have taken loan for 5 times. We have repaid in time. Now we want a big loan. When I say big loan means that more than 500,000. We want to scale our business. We want to expand our business. And a group will not take a guarantee. We want an individual loan. There the question comes that what are the questions as a banker will come in my mind? That if she is asking for individual loan, then she does not have collateral. She does not have a credit score of her own alone. And then based on this, and then she does not have a digital trajectory of her transaction. How would I know what is the working capital required? All these questions came in our mind, and then we said that, but who is failing in this? It's a supply side failure if I don't have those records instead of her paying 5 times the loan, where the failure of supply side. So then we decided, why don't we build these, and again I repeat that these women paid 5 times so well. Microcredit is $50 billion industries. Investors have earned so much of money by investing in microfinance institution. And in spite of that, why can't these women get an individual loan? So then, yeah, go ahead.
No, well, I was going to stop you. And I want to know if any of the smart people in this audience can guess, and I'll give you a hint, it's a one-word answer. What might help Chetna and the bank and the women from Deshi to develop individual credit scoring? Any guesses? Blockchain, okay. So tell us how you thought about this in terms of a supply side problem. And the punchline, of course, is going to be that we are very proud to announce a partnership between the Algorand Foundation and Mann Deshi to use a blockchain-based solution to come to help with this. But why don't you a little bit take us on that path to how you think about it, starting with the supply side issue.
So see, we have so much of information about her financial behavioral, right? About repayment, cash flows. She has ID. She has some assets which are not fixed assets. All this information she has, and we started building her, telling her that, you know, as an individual also, you can be eligible for the loan. So then, okay, what documents would you require? ID, digital transaction history, then your business, what is your business? Your certificates of business like catering, food licenses, if you are a fashion designer, your training certificate, all those. Whatever documents you have, based on those documents, we rate her. That okay, she has 7 different, ID, 1 rating, training and certificate, 1 score, then assets, number of assets and score. So you build that score and then she will be able to see, but at the same time, when she goes with that score to the lender, because lender also one has to de-risk the lender if you want lender to give women bigger loan without collateral, right? So this score can help lender to take the risk because the lender gets exactly all the information. That is one. And the pain of women, what women have the pain? Number one, they do not have all the documents at one place. That is number one. They don't know what banker would require. That is number two. Third, because they are staying in huts, they are staying on the road, floods come, they lose all their documents. They would not have it, even the certificate and everything. So if it is safe somewhere, so she would have documents at one place, she could go to the bank, show her score, show the documents behind the score, right? If I have a 9 out of 10 for, say, my business cash flow, then I have my digital transaction history, I have my whole working capital, I have what are the assets I am using in my business, like movable assets. All those documents, if I can show to the lender or a banker, they will feel confident that I'm giving a loan to a woman who is doing a business. So that's how we started doing it. And I was surprised to see that today, the banks who were not ready to give loan to women, when they saw these credit score and when they saw the files of these women, all the documents, State Bank of India, Bank of Baroda, they started telling them that we want to give you loans because they have to fulfill the priority sector lending in India. Those who are in financial sector, they would know that. So they always want a client like that. So then this is how, where they have these documents, how can we secure those documents on the platform? See, you have a credit score, Stacy.
I do.
Yeah. Where is it sitting?
It's sitting with my bank.
Yeah. And where is your bank accessing it?
From a credit scoring agency.
Agency. So there is a public good where your identity is there, right? Now you ask yourself the question, how many street vendors, they have their information on the public good about credit score? Does anybody has that? Ask them.
Is there a credit scoring agency that you avail yourselves of as a small entrepreneur in this country? Okay, and what's the problem with not using a public good and just photocopying a bunch of documents and putting it in your Google Drive and showing them when you get to the bank?
Actually, Vanita is sitting there. She would be the best person who actually works every day. But she would say, like, what's the problem? She would say, it has to be tested and verified, right?
You can't just make up your own documents, and somebody could have a good business forging documents and giving them to people, right? It has to be independently verifiable.
Exactly.
Right. And so we are extremely proud to have a partnership and to announce it this week, although we've already done some work to get it going with Mann Deshi to provide this credit scoring platform on a blockchain, which is of course now immutable, right? You can't mess with the documents once they're on there. And so this will now enable these women who already have great information to bring to bear to enhance their creditworthiness. Now they can use that creditworthiness, and this becomes data as an asset, that your data has value. The data that you generate about yourself actually has value that you can borrow against. And it's potentially, I think, a revolutionary next step in credit provision.
Yeah, and it's not only just for Mandeshi women. What we are saying is that anybody, Mandeshi is operating in Maharashtra, but bank, foundation is operating everywhere. And Mandeshi has been able to address nearly more than 950,000 women, but there are billion women.
How many?
900, we'll be just touching 1 million women entrepreneurs by 2024. So I just want to say that, but this is not enough. There are so many women who need credit score, right? Why do they need Mandeshi also? Or why would they need Algorand also, right? They would just need a public good platform where they can have their whole data. And that's where we address the issue of access to finance for women, micro enterprise, individual enterprise. So this is something, we created a revolution by providing an access to credit to women by joint liability group loan. Now we are talking about giving lending access to credit to individual women entrepreneurs. If we do that, Stacey, our index would be not so bad. At present, not even 14% of, we are below 15% where in India, where women get an access to credit as far as micro enterprise is concerned. And from public sector bank, it is just 4%, Sharma Shah. It's a shame, right? That in spite of everything, we have not been able to do that. Lend. So access to credit will make the thing.
So, and you'll know, okay, so I want to ask everybody in this audience a question. It's a kind of a personal question, but how badly do you feel about yourself and what you've accomplished in your life now after listening to Chetna Sinha? It's pretty terrible, right? Are there any? I have a final question, but can I take some questions from the audience? Yeah, please stand up and back. And a mic is going to come around to you. He's right next to you. He's behind you. Yep.
Hi.
Please introduce yourself and your affiliation. And I just want to remind everybody before we start that a question mark has a question mark at the end of it. Yeah? Okay.
Hi, I'm Badal Malik. I'm a co-founder of a company called Karma Life. We provide earnings-linked credit to gig and contract workers. Chetna ji, thank you so much for such an inspiring talk. I have heard so much about Mandeshi, and it's been a privilege to hear about it from you directly. My question is, I wanted to understand, so in terms of building the credit score, you said blockchain helps create an independent verification mechanism to say documents. How does that work? Somewhere those documents have to be uploaded, verified. Is that a manual process? How do you ensure that? I just would love some elaboration on how an existing document, or it could be a property ownership document, it could be a vehicle registration document. How does blockchain help? And just a little bit of context. So, for example, we get worker data from employers and aggregators of workforces. Right now, that is coming from a third party, but it's not verifiable. I'm just thinking aloud. Apart from these additional data sources that you're talking about, how can blockchain be integrated into a process like that?
So anyway, my answer I will just say that the same question I was asking. So thanks for asking this question, but same question I had in my mind, like I didn't know blockchain or what. I don't know that because I'm not a technology expert at all. But I know one thing. Whenever our women ask any question, they are always genuine and they are visionary. So they always asked me that so many times we go to the bank, we give them papers, every time they will not find the file. Right? They would say, फिर से लेके आओ ये कागज, फिर से लेके आओ. And women will say that we have spent 4 months and still we are not getting loan. And that person cannot find our file. Why our file only always get lost? Why anyone else files don't get lost? So same question our women used to ask. So then we said, okay, what we will do is that we will create each one's account at our bank. We'll get you all the document downloaded. We did it very manually in our system. And we said that whenever you want to submit those, we will send one person with the chip. So she will say that, okay, if your bank allows, or I'll take a laptop and give you the printouts again, and 100 times we'll do those printouts and give it. So we didn't have the same question our women were asking, and I also said that I don't know how to do, but we will do it. So we have been doing it for years now. Then this thing came up that, can we create some public good where these things can be uploaded? And now, Stacey, you will say that, right?
Yeah, so I'm seeing the time's up sign, but again, I want to say that what can happen now is very easily you can point to, and you said, look, I gave you the document. No, you didn't, or you did it, you gave it only last week. You say, no, I gave it a month ago, and here's the timestamp, and here you can see it, and anybody can see that it happened at this time. What it cannot do, though, is it cannot vouch for the integrity of, it cannot vouch for the validity of the initial document. That is not something that blockchain solves for. So there is still always going to be a risk of garbage in, garbage out, of course. But if you have some respectability from the organization that gives that document, maybe that sense of respectability is only 50%, but you combine it with something else over here where it's like a diploma, and then you kind of believe that diploma. So then, the average overall score maybe goes up to 60 or 70%, and you keep adding different identity documents and creditworthiness documents. And I'm a person that is, it's a little bit like a social score in a way. I'm a person that is trustworthy for these various reasons. Then you can start to create this more well-rounded credit score. And the idea that blockchain will solve for is that can't be tampered with once it's on the chain. But I think it's a good point that we should remind ourselves of that it is not about the veracity of what goes on the chain. That has to be independently assessed. Time is up, but is there room for one more question, or? Okay. Thank you, everybody, and I suggest that you all go home this evening and think very hard about what you're going to do for the rest of your lives based on Chetna's example. Thanks, Chetna.